Admiral Mordan stared at the display screen with growing anger. The small Terran ship floated in space like nothing had happened. His most powerful weapons had failed completely. The energy beams that could crack a moon had simply passed through. Empty space. "Sir, new contact approaching," called Lieutenant Vex High from her scanner station. On the display, a small shuttle separated from the Terran vessel. The tiny craft moved slowly toward the Imperial fleet. It sent out signals on all communication channels. "Admiral Mordan, this is Dr. Mina from the Soul's Pride. I request permission to come aboard for diplomatic talks." Mordan's forearms crossed over his chest. His gray skin darkened with anger. "You attack my fleet and then ask for talks?" Dr. Mina's voice remained calm and polite. "Admiral, we did not attack anyone. We simply avoided your weapons. We still hope to resolve this peacefully." The Admiral looked around his bridge. His officers waited for orders. Some looked confused. Others looked scared. They had all seen their weapons fail against the strange ship. "Commander Zeth," Mordan called to his weapons officer. "Analysis of our attack. Why did we miss?" Commander Zeth checked his instruments with shaking hands. "Sir, our targeting systems locked onto the vessel. Our weapons fired correctly, but the target simply wasn't there when the beams arrived. Explain." "I can't, sir. The ship didn't move. It didn't use shields. It just wasn't there for the weapons to hit." Mordan turned back to the communication system. "Dr. Mina, you will explain how your ship evaded our attack." "Admiral, our technology allows us to exist in multiple dimensions. When threatened, we can shift slightly out of phase with normal space. Your weapons exist only in this dimension, so they cannot touch us." The bridge fell silent. Dimensional technology was theoretical among Kethran scientists. The Empire's greatest minds had never made it work. "Sir," whispered Lieutenant Vex High, "if they have dimensional control, they could appear anywhere, even inside our shields." Mordan felt cold fear creep up his spine. An enemy that could appear anywhere was almost impossible to fight. "Dr. Mina, state your terms," he said into the communicator. "We have no terms, Admiral. We simply wish to learn about your people and share knowledge. Perhaps we can help each other." "Help?" Mordan laughed bitterly. "The Kethran Empire needs no help from primitive species. Admiral, we've been observing your empire for several months. We know about your slave worlds and conquered peoples. We know about the suffering you cause. This is why we cannot allow you to capture us." Mordan's eyes widened. "Months? Impossible. Our deep space sensors would have detected you." "Your sensors are quite good, Admiral, but they only look in 3 dimensions. We've been traveling through the 4th dimension, watching and learning on the bridge." The officers looked at each other with growing fear. An enemy that could spy on them without being detected was every military commander's nightmare. "What do you want?" Mordan demanded. "We want to establish peaceful contact. We want to trade knowledge and technology. We want to help your people build a better society." "The Empire is already perfect," Mordan snarled. "We rule 12-star systems. We command fleets that have crushed dozens of species. We are the strongest power in this region of space." Dr. Mina's voice carried sadness when she replied. "Admiral, strength is not measured by how many worlds you conquer. True strength comes from protecting the weak and building peace." "Foolish words from a primitive species," Mordan said. "Your ship may have strange technology, but you are still only one vessel. The Empire has thousands of ships." "We know, Admiral. We've seen your fleets. We've studied your tactics and weapons, but numbers alone do not determine victory. Mordan decided to test these Terrans. He activated his command codes and sent a signal to the Imperial fleet. Within minutes, 6 more warships jumped into the system. The reinforcements took position around the small Terran ship. Dr. Mina, you now face 7 Imperial warships. Each one carries enough firepower to destroy a city. Surrender now, or face total destruction. The response came quickly. Admiral, we appreciate your show of force, but it changes nothing. We still wish to talk peacefully. Then come aboard my ship, alone and unarmed. I'm afraid that's not acceptable. History shows what happens to diplomatic envoys who board Imperial ships. They disappear. Mordan smiled coldly. Dr. Mina was right. Imperial policy was to capture and interrogate all foreign diplomats. The information they provided had helped conquer many worlds. Then we have nothing to discuss, Mordan said. You will surrender or be destroyed. Admiral, may I ask you a question? In all your conquests, have you ever wondered if there might be a better way? What do you mean? Your empire rules through fear and force. Your people work as slaves. Your conquered worlds suffer under imperial rule. Don't you think there's a better way to organize society? Mordan's anger flared. The imperial way is the only way. The strong rule the weak. This is the natural order. On Earth, Admiral, we learned that cooperation is stronger than domination. We learned that free people work harder than slaves. We learned that diversity makes us stronger, not weaker. Lies and weakness, Mordan spat. Your soft philosophy will not save you from imperial justice. Dr. Mina sighed over the communication channel. I had hoped for better, Admiral, but we understand that some minds cannot be changed with words alone. What does that mean? It means, Admiral, that if you insist on hostilities, we will defend ourselves. And I think you will find that our defensive capabilities are as advanced as our dimensional technology. Mordan looked at the tactical display. 7 Imperial warships surrounded one small alien vessel. The odds seemed impossible to overcome. You cannot defeat 7 Imperial warships, he stated. Admiral, we don't want to defeat anyone. We want to explore the galaxy and make friends. But if you force us to fight, we will protect ourselves. Mordan made his decision. All ships, prepare to fire. Full power to all weapon systems. The Imperial fleet powered up their weapons. Energy cannons charged with deadly force. Torpedo. Tubes loaded with planet-cracking warheads. The combined firepower could destroy a small fleet. Dr. Mina, you have one final chance to surrender. Admiral, you have one final chance to choose peace. Fire. 7 Imperial warships unleashed hell upon the small Terran vessel. Energy beams, plasma bolts, and guided missiles filled the space around the Soul's Pride. The attack was so intense that the sensors couldn't track all the weapons' fire. When the light faded and the energy readings settled, the Imperial officers stared at their displays in shock. The Terran ship hung in space, completely undamaged. Not a single weapon had touched it. Dr. Mina's voice came over the communicator, still calm and polite. Admiral, we really didn't want to do this. The alarm bells screamed through the bridge of the Imperial dreadnought Eternal Dominion. Admiral Kyath Mordan stood at the center of the massive command deck, his 6 eyes focused on the main display screen. Red warning lights flashed across the metal walls as officers rushed between their stations. Report! Mordan's voice boomed across the bridge. His tall, gray-skinned frame towered over the other Kethran officers. 4 arms moved quickly as he adjusted his uniform and checked. The tactical displays. Lieutenant Vexhai looked up from her scanner station, her antennae twitching with nervousness. "Sir, we have an unknown contact near Zarion 7. The mining colony detected it first." Morden moved to the tactical station with heavy steps. The metal floor rang under his boots. He had commanded Imperial fleets for 30 years. He had conquered 7 different species. He had never seen anything like what appeared on his screen. "Show me," he ordered. The main display changed to show the Zarion 7 system. A small red dot blinked near the mining colony. The dot moved across the screen in a straight line, then suddenly stopped. "Analysis," Mordan demanded. Vexhai's fingers danced over her controls. Numbers and data filled her screen. Her face showed confusion as she read the results. "Sir, this is impossible. The object shows no energy signature, no heat output, no electromagnetic emissions, but it's definitely there on visual scans." Mordan frowned. In all his years of service, every ship they had encountered followed the same basic rules. Ships needed engines. Engines produced energy. Energy could be detected. This object broke those rules. Size? Approximately 200 meters long, sir. Much smaller than our smallest frigate. Weapons? Unknown, sir. We can't scan it properly. Our sensors slide off it like water off metal. Mordan studied the display. The unknown ship sat perfectly still in space. It didn't move or react to the Imperial presence. The Eternal Dominion was 20 times larger than the strange vessel. The Admiral's ship carried enough firepower to destroy a small moon. "Send a patrol ship to investigate," Mordan ordered. "Full weapons ready. If it makes any hostile moves, destroy it." The bridge crew moved to carry out his orders. On the display, one of the Imperial patrol ships broke away from the main fleet. The sleek gray vessel moved toward the unknown contact. With its weapons powered up and shields at maximum, Morden watched as his patrol ship approached the stranger. The Imperial vessel slowed as it got closer. Then something impossible happened. The unknown ship simply vanished. "Where did it go?" Mordan shouted. Vexhai's hands flew over her controls. Her screen filled with scanning data. "I don't know, sir. One moment it was there, the next moment it was gone." "Find it!" The bridge crew worked frantically at their stations. Scanners swept the entire system. Long-range sensors reached out into deep space. Nothing. Then Lieutenant Kef at the communications station called out, "Sir, contact bearing 27 Mark 4. The display shifted. The unknown ship appeared again, this time much closer to the Imperial fleet. It hung in space like it had always been there. "How did it move so fast?" Mordan asked. "Sir, our sensors show no movement. It didn't travel from point A to point B. It just stopped being at point A and started being at point B." Mordan felt a chill run through his blood. In 30 years of conquest, he had never encountered technology like this. The Empire's science division would be very interested in this ship. "Open a channel," he ordered. The communications officer worked at his station. "Channel open, sir." Morden stepped forward and spoke in his most commanding voice. "Unknown vessel. This is Admiral Kayeth Mordan of the Catherine Imperial Navy. You are in Imperial space. Identify yourself immediately." Silence filled the bridge. The unknown ship remained motionless on the display. "Sir, should we fire a warning?" "Shot?" asked Commander Zeth from the weapons station. Before Morden could answer, the communications station crackled to life. A voice spoke in perfect Kethran language, but the accent was strange. The words were clear and calm. "Admiral Mordan, this is Captain Jiho of the Terran vessel Soul's Pride. We come in peace, but we are prepared for war." The bridge fell silent. Officers looked at each other with confusion. Mordan's mind raced. He had never heard of Terra or Terrans. The Empire kept detailed records of every known species in the galaxy. This was something new. Terran? Mordan spoke into the communication system. We have no record of your species. What is your purpose in Imperial space? The voice that called. Himself, Captain Jiho responded quickly. We are explorers from the planet Earth. We're mapping this region of space and seeking contact with new civilizations. We mean no harm to your people. Mordan's 4 hands clenched into fists. Another species to be conquered, another world to be added to the Empire. The Emperor would be pleased. Captain Jiho, you will power down your vessel and prepare to be boarded. Your ship and crew will be processed according to Imperial law. A pause. Then Captain Jiho's voice returned, still calm but with a note of firmness. I'm afraid we must decline that offer, Admiral. We're on a peaceful mission, but we will not surrender our ship or crew. Mordan's eyes narrowed. Few species had ever refused Imperial demands. Those that did were usually floating debris within the hour. Captain, you don't understand. This is not a request. You are in Imperial space. You will comply or face the consequences. Admiral, Captain Jiho replied, I believe it's you who doesn't understand. We've studied your empire during our approach. We know your history of conquest and enslavement. We will not become another trophy for your collection. The bridge crew stirred. How had these Terrans studied the Empire? Their ship had only been detected minutes ago. Mordan decided to end this conversation. Unknown technology or not, one small ship could not stand against the might of the Empire. Very well, Captain. You have chosen your fate. All ships target the unknown vessel. Fire on my command. The Imperial fleet moved into attack formation. 12 powerful warships turned there, weapons toward the lone Terran ship. Energy cannons charged with deadly power. Fire! Mordan commanded. Beams of pure energy lanced through space toward the Soul's Pride. The weapons that had destroyed countless enemy fleets reached out to claim another victim. But something went wrong. The beams passed through empty space. The Terran ship had vanished again. Scanners showed nothing. Where is it? Mordan roared. Then Captain Jiho's voice filled the bridge again, unchanged and unworried. Admiral, that was not very neighborly. Please don't do that again. The unknown ship reappeared, exactly where it had been before, completely undamaged, as if the Imperial attack had never happened. For the first time in 30 years, Admiral Kayeth Mordan felt afraid. The silence on the bridge of the Eternal Dominion stretched like a heavy blanket. Admiral Mordan stared at the tactical display where the Terran ship sat undamaged. 7 Imperial warships had fired everything they had, and the alien vessel looked like nothing had happened. Damage report on the target, Mordan ordered, his voice tight with control. Lieutenant Vexhai checked her scanners twice before answering. Sir, the Terran ship shows no damage, no energy loss, no system failures, nothing. Impossible, muttered Commander Zeth from the weapons station. We hit it with enough firepower to crack a planet. Dr. Mina's voice came through the communicators again. Admiral, we warned you this would not work. Our ship exists in multiple dimensions. Your weapons can only affect 3-dimensional space. Mordan's 4 hands clenched into fists. In 30 years of conquest, he had never faced an enemy his weapons could not touch. The feeling was new and terrifying. Commander Zeth, send an emergency signal to Fleet Command. Request immediate reinforcements. Full battle group. Sir, a full battle group? That's 12 more warships. Send the signal, Morden snapped. As his communications officer sent the emergency request, Morden studied the small ship that had made him look like a fool. The vessel was elegant in design, with smooth curves and no visible weapons. It looked more like a pleasure craft than a warship. "Dr. Mina," he called into the communicator, "you claim to come in peace, yet you have technology that makes you immune to our weapons. This seems like an act of war." "Admiral, we developed this technology to protect ourselves, not to attack others. We learned long ago that the universe contains many hostile species. We had to find ways to survive. You speak as if you have fought others before us. We have encountered 17 different aggressive species during our explorations, Admiral. Some tried to enslave us. Others tried to eat us. A few tried to harvest our brains for scientific study. We defended ourselves against all of them." Morden felt his blood turn cold. 17 species? The Empire had detailed records of every known intelligent race in this region of space. How? Many civilizations existed that the Empire knew nothing about? "What happened to these hostile species?" he asked. "They learned to leave us alone, Admiral, just as we hope your Empire will." Before Morden could respond, his tactical officer called out from across the bridge. "Sir, reinforcements arriving." On the main display, 12 more Imperial warships dropped out of hyperspace. The massive vessels took positions around the Terran ship, forming a perfect circle. Each ship was larger than the Eternal Dominion, carrying weapons that could sterilize continents. "Fleet Admiral Zeth Kolvar, requesting communication, sir," announced the communications officer. "Put him through." The main screen shifted to show Fleet Admiral Kolvar's scarred face. The old warrior had conquered more worlds than any other. Imperial commander. His reputation for brutality was legendary across the galaxy. "Admiral Morden, explain this situation. Why did you call for a full battle group to deal with one small ship?" "Sir, the alien vessel possesses dimensional technology. Our weapons cannot touch it." Kolvar's eyes narrowed. "Impossible. No species has ever mastered dimensional manipulation." "With respect, sir, they have. We've fired on them twice with no effect. Then we'll fire with more ships. 19 Imperial. Warships against one alien vessel. Even dimensional technology has limits." On the bridge of the Soul's Pride, Captain Jiho sat in his command chair and watched the Imperial fleet surround his ship. His crew worked quietly at their stations, showing no signs of fear despite being outnumbered 19-1. "Captain," said Tactical Officer Taman, "the Imperial ships are powering weapons, all 19 vessels." "I can see that, Taman. Any suggestions?" Dr. Mina looked up from her science station. "Sir, we could try talking to them again. Maybe if we explain our technology better, they'll understand we're not a threat." Engineer Wanho shook his head. "Captain, these people don't want to understand. They want to conquer. It's all they know." Communications Officer Dayun turned from her station. "Sir, incoming message from the Imperial Fleet Commander." "Put it through," Captain Jiho said. Fleet Admiral Kolvar's voice filled the bridge. "Terran vessel, this is Fleet Admiral Kolvar of the Kethran Empire. You are completely surrounded by the finest warships in the galaxy. Surrender immediately or face total annihilation." Captain Jiho stood and walked to the center of his small bridge. "Fleet Admiral, this is Captain Jiho. We have no wish to fight your people. We came here to explore and learn. Violence serves no one. Your wishes are irrelevant, alien. You have threatened Imperial ships and refused Imperial commands. The penalty is death." Fleet Admiral, we have threatened no one. We have simply defended ourselves against unprovoked attacks. Your very existence is a threat to the Empire. No species may possess technology superior to ours. Captain Jiho sighed. He had hoped for better from this encounter. Fleet Admiral, we really don't want to fight. Our species has seen enough war, but if you insist on hostilities, we'll defend ourselves. You cannot defend against 19 Imperial warships. Surrender, now or be destroyed. Captain Jiho looked around his bridge at his crew. These people trusted him to keep them safe. They had families back on Earth waiting for them to return from this exploration mission. Fleet Admiral, you leave us no choice. You have made your choice, alien. All ships, target the enemy vessel, fire everything. 19 Imperial warships opened fire at once. The space around the Soul's Pride filled with death. Energy beams that could cut through battleship armor lanced through the void. Plasma bolts hot enough to melt steel streaked toward their target. Guided missiles with planet-cracking warheads homed in on the small ship. The attack was so intense that the sensors of the Imperial ships couldn't track all the weapons fire. The energy readings went off the scale. Space itself seemed to burn, with destructive force. Then suddenly the Soul's Pride was gone. "Target destroyed!" shouted an officer on the Eternal Dominion. But Lieutenant Vexhai was checking her sensors frantically. "Sir, I'm not reading any debris. No energy signature from destruction. The ship just vanished." Fleet Admiral Kolvar's voice boomed across all communication channels. "Confirm target destruction." Before anyone could respond, Captain Jiho's voice came through the communicators, as calm as before. "Fleet Admiral, that was quite a display. But as we told you, your weapons cannot affect us." On the tactical displays, the Soul's Pride reappeared 50,000 kilometers away from the Imperial fleet. The ship looked exactly the same as before. No damage, no energy loss, no sign that it had just survived the combined firepower of 19 warships. "Impossible," whispered Admiral Mordan. Captain Jiho's voice continued. "We had hoped for better from your people, Fleet Admiral. We came in peace, offering friendship and knowledge. Instead, you chose violence." "How?" Kolvar demanded. "How did you survive?" "As we explained, our ship can exist in multiple dimensions. When threatened, we simply step outside your reality until the danger passes." The Imperial fleet hung in space, their weapons cooling down after the massive attack. For the first time in Imperial history, their finest warships had failed completely. "Fleet Admiral," Captain Jiho said, his voice carrying a note of sadness, "we had hoped for better." Then the Soul's Pride did something that changed everything. It fired back. The Soul's Pride fired once. A single beam of blue-white energy emerged from the small Terran ship. The beam was thin, no thicker than a person's arm. It looked almost delicate compared to the massive weapons the Imperial fleet had just used. But what happened next defied everything the Kethran Empire knew about warfare. The beam passed through all 19 Imperial warships at the same time. It moved in a straight line through the first ship, then somehow continued to the next ship, then the next. The energy passed through armor that could withstand nuclear explosions. It moved through shields that could stop meteor impacts. Admiral Morden watched in horror as the beam touched his ship. He felt a slight vibration through the deck plates, nothing more. But his tactical displays began showing system failures across the entire vessel. "Weapons offline," called Commander Zeth, panic in his voice. "Shields down," reported Lieutenant Vexhai. "Engines not responding," announced the helm officer. Across all 19 ships, the same reports came flooding in. Every weapon system had stopped working. Every shield generator had shut down. Every engine had gone silent. But the life support system still functioned. The lights still worked. The gravity still operated. The crew members were unharmed, but their ships had become floating metal boxes. "What did they do to us?" Admiral Mordan whispered. Captain Jiho's voice came through the communicators, sounding tired and sad. "Fleet, Admiral Kolvar, we have disabled your weapons and engines to prevent further escalation. Your crews are completely safe. We hope you'll now consider peaceful discussion." Fleet Admiral Kolvar's voice shook with rage. "You dare attack Imperial vessels? This is an act of war." "Fleet Admiral, we defended ourselves against your attack. We could have destroyed your ships easily. Instead, we chose to disable them without harming your people." On the bridge of the Soul's Pride, Dr. Mina opened a channel to all Imperial ships. "Attention all Imperial vessels. This is Dr. Mina of the Terran exploration ship Soul's Pride. We want you to know that no one has been hurt. We've simply removed your ability to cause harm." Engineer Wanho looked up from his console. "Captain, the Imperial ships are trying to restart their systems. Should I maintain the shutdown?" Captain Jiho nodded. "Keep their weapons offline, Wanho, but let them have engines for basic movement. We don't want them trapped here." Tactical. Officer Taman studied his displays. "Sir, I'm detecting distress signals from the Imperial fleet. They're calling for more reinforcements." "How many more ships do they have?" asked Captain Jiho. Dr. Mina checked her files. "According to our intelligence, the Empire maintains approximately 2,000 warships across their territory, but their most powerful vessels are the Planet Killer fleet." "Planet Killers?" asked Communications Officer Dayun. "Massive ships designed to destroy entire worlds. They carry weapons that can crack a planet's crust and boil away its atmosphere." "Captain," Jiho sat back in his chair. "They'll send the Planet Killers next. They can't accept that their normal fleet has failed." On the disabled Imperial flagship, Fleet Admiral Kolvar screamed orders at his helpless crew. "Get the engines working. Restore weapon power. Contact the Emperor immediately." "Sir," said his communications officer, "our long-range transmitters are working. The Emperor is responding." The main screen flickered to life, showing the Emperor's throne room. Emperor Thek Vormak sat on his crystal throne, surrounded by guards and advisors. The old ruler had built the empire through 60 years of conquest and war. "Kolvar, explain this disaster," the Emperor commanded. "Your Majesty, we face an enemy with impossible technology. One ship has disabled our entire battle group." The Emperor's 6 eyes narrowed. "One ship? You commanded 19 of our finest vessels." "Yes, Your Majesty. But their technology operates in multiple dimensions. Our weapons cannot touch them, but their weapons can affect us with surgical precision." The Emperor was silent for a long moment. In the background, his advisors whispered among themselves. The thought of Imperial ships being defeated was unthinkable. "Your Majesty," Kolvar continued, "they claim to come in peace, but they possess technology that makes them immune to our power. This threatens the very foundation of the Empire." Emperor Vormak stood from his throne. "No species may be allowed to possess superior technology to the Empire. Activate the Planet Killer fleet. Send them to your location immediately." "Your Majesty, are you certain? The Planet Killers have never been used against a single ship. These aliens must be destroyed. As an example to all other species, no one defies the Empire and lives. The communication ended, leaving the Imperial fleet drifting helplessly in space. Captain Jiho received reports from his crew about the Imperial communications. "Captain, they're calling for something called planet killers," reported Da-Yun, doctor. Mina pulled up information on her screen. "Captain, we intercepted some Imperial transmissions during our observation period. Planet killers are massive ships, each one 5 kilometers long. They carry weapons designed to destroy entire worlds." "How many ships in the planet killer fleet?" "Intelligence suggests 12 vessels, sir." Tactical Officer Taman looked worried. "Captain, 12 ships that size could carry enormous amounts of firepower. Even with our dimensional technology, that's a lot of destructive energy to avoid." Captain Jiho stood and walked to the main viewer. Through the transparent aluminum, he could see the disabled Imperial ships floating nearby. Each one contained thousands of crew members who were simply following orders from their leaders. "Hyun-sik," he called to his tactical specialist. "How long before these planet killers arrive?" Tactical specialist Hyun-sik checked his calculations. "Sir, based on Imperial hyperspace technology and the distance to their main base, approximately 6 hours. Engineer Wanho spoke up from his station. "Captain, we could leave now. Jump to hyperspace and continue our exploration mission. Let the Empire wonder what happened to us." Dr. Mina shook her head. "If we leave, the Empire will think we ran away in fear. They'll become more aggressive toward other species they encounter." Communications Officer Da-Hyun had been monitoring Imperial transmissions. "Captain, I'm picking up signals from across the Empire. News of our encounter is spreading to all Imperial worlds." "What kind of reaction?" asked Captain Jiho. "Mixed, sir. Some Imperial citizens are frightened that their fleet was defeated, but others seem hopeful, especially on the conquered worlds." Dr. Mina looked up from her science station. "Captain, if we can defeat the planet killer fleet, it might encourage the enslaved peoples to rise up against their oppressors. And if we can't defeat them, then at least we tried to make a difference." Captain Jiho considered his options. He could retreat and save his crew, or he could stay and face the Empire's ultimate weapons. The decision would affect not just his ship, but potentially millions of enslaved beings across Imperial space. "Dr. Sunmi," he called to his physicist, "can our defensive systems handle planet-killer weapons?" Dr. Sunmi ran calculations on her computer. "Sir, the energy output would be massive, but our dimensional technology should still protect us." "Should?" "Captain, we've never faced weapons of that magnitude before. Theoretically, we should be safe, but theory and reality don't always match." Captain Jiho made his decision. "We stay. Send a message to the Imperial fleet. Tell them we're willing to discuss peace terms, but we won't run from their threats." As his crew prepared for the arrival of the planet-killer fleet, Captain Jiho wondered if he was leading his people to their deaths. But some fights were worth the risk. The Empire was about to learn that humans didn't abandon their principles, even when facing impossible odds. The planet-killer fleet arrived like a storm from nightmare. 12 massive ships dropped out of hyperspace in perfect formation. Each vessel stretched 5 kilometers from front to back, larger than some moons. Their dark metal hulls bristled, with weapons that could crack worlds. Energy readings from the fleet made the sensors on nearby ships scream warnings. Supreme Admiral Thek Vormak commanded the fleet from the bridge of the World Ender. The ancient warrior had personally overseen the destruction of 6 planets during his career. His scarred face showed no emotion as he studied the tactical display. "Report," Vormak ordered in his deep voice. "Sir, We have visual contact with the alien vessel, called his tactical officer. One small ship, approximately 200 meters, 19 Imperial warships disabled and drifting nearby. Vormak studied the tiny dot on his screen that represented the Terran ship. Such a small vessel to cause such massive problems for the Empire. Communications. Open a channel to the alien ship. Channel open, sir. Alien vessel. This is Supreme. Admiral Vormak of the Planet Killer Fleet. You have attacked Imperial ships and threatened Imperial sovereignty. Prepare to be destroyed. Captain Jiho's voice came back immediately, calm as always. Supreme Admiral, we have attacked no one. We defended ourselves against unprovoked aggression. We still offer peaceful resolution to this conflict. There will be no peace. The Emperor has ordered your complete destruction. You will die as an example to all species who dare challenge the Empire. On the bridge of the Soul's Pride, Captain Jiho looked around at his crew. Navigation Officer Yuna worked quietly at her station, plotting escape routes they might never use. Security Chief Boram monitored the massive Imperial fleet with professional calm. Engineer Donghae assisted Wanho in keeping their systems ready for anything. Captain, said Dr. Mina, I'm detecting massive energy buildups across the Planet Killer fleet. These weapons are unlike anything we've encountered before. Tactical Specialist Hyunsik studied his readings. Sir, each Planet Killer mounts a primary weapon that focuses the energy output of a small star. 12 of these weapons firing together. Can our dimensional technology protect us? Asked Captain Jiho. Dr. Sunmi ran calculations on her computer. Captain, the energy output will be so massive it might affect multiple dimensions at once. I'm not certain our defenses will hold. Captain Jiho nodded. He had known this moment might come when he decided to stay and face the Empire's ultimate weapons. Dahyun, open a channel to all Imperial ships in the area. Communications Officer Dahyun worked at her station. Channel open, sir. Captain Jiho stood and spoke clearly into the communicator. People of the Kethran Empire, this is Captain Jiho of the Terran vessel Soul's Pride. We came to your space in peace, seeking friendship and knowledge. Your leaders chose violence over diplomacy, war over understanding. Supreme Admiral Vormak's voice cut in. Enough! All ships, target the alien vessel. Maximum power to primary weapons. The 12 Planet Killer ships turned their massive weapons toward the small Terran ship. Energy readings climbed to levels that made space itself seem to vibrate. Captain, Jiho continued his transmission. We don't want to fight your people. We've tried to avoid harming anyone. But if your leaders insist on using weapons of planetary destruction, we'll have no choice but to defend ourselves. Fire! Vormak commanded. 12 beams of concentrated stellar energy lanced through space toward the Soul's Pride. Each beam carried enough power to boil away the atmosphere of a world. The combined energy could have destroyed a small star. The beams reached the location where the Terran ship had been floating. They found nothing. Target status? Vormak demanded. Sir, the alien ship has vanished. No debris, no energy signature, nothing. Impossible. Nothing can survive Planet Killer weapons. Captain Jiho's voice came through the communicators, unchanged and unworried. Supreme Admiral, we warned you this wouldn't work. The Soul's Pride reappeared 100,000 kilometers away, completely undamaged. Your weapons affect only three-dimensional space, Captain Jiho explained. We exist in 11 dimensions. When threatened, we simply step outside your reality. Vormak stared at the tactical display in disbelief. The Empire's ultimate weapons had failed completely. How? he whispered. "Supreme Admiral, our technology is not magic. It's simply science your people haven't discovered yet. We'd be happy to share our knowledge if you chose peace over war." "Never," Vormak roared. "The Empire will never bow to alien technology. All ships, continuous fire, destroy everything. In this system!" The planet killer fleet began firing wildly in all directions. Beams of destruction lanced through space, trying to hit the Terran ship. Some beams passed dangerously close to the disabled Imperial warships from the earlier battle. Captain Jiho watched the display with growing sadness. "They're going to hit their own ships," he said quietly. Dr. Mina nodded. "Captain, the Supreme Admiral has lost control. He's firing blindly. We can't let them destroy their own people." Captain Jiho made his final decision. "Wanho, prepare the dimensional displacement field. Full power." Engineer Wanho's hands moved over his controls. "Sir, full dimensional displacement will affect everything in the system. Are you sure?" "Do it!" The soul's pride began to glow with soft blue light. The light expanded outward like a gentle wave, touching everything in the system. When the light reached the planet-killer fleet, something impossible happened. The 12 massive ships simply stopped existing. Not destroyed, not exploded, not vaporized. They simply ceased to be in normal space-time. The 19 disabled Imperial warships remained untouched. Their crews were safe. But the planet-killer fleet had vanished completely. "Where did they go?" Admiral Mordan whispered from his disabled flagship. Captain Jiho's voice filled the silence. "Supreme Admiral Vormak and his fleet now exist in a parallel dimension. They're alive and unharmed, but they can never return to this reality. They're no longer a threat to anyone." Across the Imperial fleet, officers stared at their displays in shock. The Empire's most powerful weapons had been removed from existence by technology they couldn't understand. Captain Jiho opened a final transmission to all Imperial ships and all Imperial worlds. "People of the Kethran Empire, we are the humans of Earth. We didn't come here to conquer or destroy. We came to explore and learn. Your leaders chose aggression over diplomacy, violence over understanding. We've removed their ability to threaten us or anyone else." The transmission reached every Imperial world, every space station, every ship in the Empire. "We've seen your Empire's history. We know about the conquered worlds and enslaved peoples. We know about the suffering caused by Imperial rule. This ends now. On 1,000 worlds, enslaved populations looked up at the sky in wonder. Use this time wisely. Build something better. Learn to work together instead of conquering each other. We'll be watching." The soul's pride began to fade from normal space. "We're not your enemies unless you make us so. We're not your rulers unless you force us to be. We're explorers, seeking knowledge and friendship among the stars." The Terran ship became transparent, shifting into other dimensions. Other species will come after us. Some will be friendly. Others might not be. Learn to tell the difference. Learn to choose peace when possible and strength when necessary. Captain Jiho's final words echoed across the Empire as his ship prepared to leave. 14 more sectors to explore. I hope the next species is friendlier. The soul's pride vanished, leaving behind an empire in chaos. Their most powerful fleets were gone. Their absolute authority was shattered. Across 1,000 worlds, the conquered peoples began to rise. Navigation Officer Yuna plotted their course to the next sector. "Where to, Captain?" Captain Jiho settled into his chair and smiled. Wherever the stars take us, Yuna, the galaxy is full of wonders waiting to be discovered. As the Soul's Pride jumped to hyperspace, the age of human exploration continued. Behind them, the former Kethran Empire began the long process of learning to live without conquest and war. The galaxy would never be the same, and somewhere in the vast darkness between stars, other species detected the strange energy signatures of the departing human ship and wondered what new visitors might soon arrive at their worlds. The universe had just become a much more interesting place.